Good afternoon, all. My name is Feliciano, and what I'm about to do is something that has been stirred in my heart for a good while, and because of me always asking people, telling them that it's it's good to share your testimony, and why don't they share the testimony? And they give me this look like, why should I share my testimony? I don't want people to know anything about me. So, to order to them to feel comfortable and understand that to share the glory of God, that it is important for us to share of what God has done with us and how we have been transformed to who we were and who we are today. And before I start anything, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank my pastors because of their encouragement. This is going to happen, and I thank Sam, Norma, and Uni for allowing me to get out of my comfort zone, to get out of my box. And because of that, today I am doing something which I never in my wildest dream would have thought I would be doing, and that is to share my testimony of what God did for me when I call upon His name with a powerful prayer, and I asked Him with my final thought saying to please save me and break the chains of my alcoholism. The powerful thing about this is when I put that prayer in, it was like a prayer, desperation. Um, I, I'm born and raised in a home with both parents. My nationality is Puerto Rican, but born in New York. And I want to tell my sibling, I know many of them don't like when I do share about my life or what happened, but you know what? I am sitting here today because of my honesty and sharing of what happened to me. And I also want them to understand that I am the firstborn in the family. I saw everything from the age of 5 until I had to leave the house. It was the hardest thing to do. Born and raised with my both parents in New York City, in Brooklyn, and I'm trying to remember. But I don't remember if I ever had any really good memory. But the majority was like a lot of indifference with my parents, a lot of fighting, a lot of cursing. My dad told my mom, like, I saw a lot of like, my dad didn't have too much respect for a woman in my eyes. And I saw this, and I used to ask this question, why is my dad always treating my mom that way? And for some reason, I just held it in. I was a little boy. I couldn't really question anything to my dad, because if I did, I would get hit, I would get a beating, or he would say, stop, you don't understand, I am the father, whatever I say goes in his home. I was raised with 5 brothers, 2 sisters. We were close in the beginning, but then down the line, a lot of things started changing because of going to school and being raised in a home where, to me, it was very dysfunctional, because my dad wasn't an alcoholic. And one of the things that I saw as a little boy and into the day I left was when my dad used to go out, he used to go out drinking with his buddies. And I always used to see my mother's reaction on her face. I used to say this. I used to ask why my mom used to get so scared. It was because when he would come home in a rage, and he had this habit of breaking all the glasses in the house. It was so weird, but he did. He would take every glass in the cabinet, throw it on the floor. That by the time he finished letting out his rage, he would go to bed, and my mother would go in the kitchen and sweep up all the glasses from the floor. And I remember one time she did this, and I remember like it was yesterday. She one day said, "You know what? I'm gonna replace it with fake plates and fake cups." And I remember him coming home, and it was funny at the time, but it wasn't, because this made him more enraged. So what he did, he grabbed the glasses and from the kitchen, the plates, and slammed it. And what it did, it bounced off the floor. And this made him very upset. So he looked at her, he said, "What is this? Why you do that?" And she said, "I didn't want you to break any more glasses. It hurt." So the next thing he did was he was trying to fight her. She got in his way so that he didn't get to me or my brother. My brother was sleeping we were sleeping on bunk beds. My brother was sleeping on the top and I was in the bottom. And I remember clearly I remember getting off the bed right away, but my brother didn't get off soon enough. So he grabbed my brother and slammed him against the floor. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember looking at my brother. Maybe I would think I was around 9 years old. And I looked at him and I said, Ishmael, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I never want to become like him. I hope I hope to God that I never grow up to be like my father, because it was so ugly to see. And for so many years I saw this, that by the time I became a teen, uh, I was going through the emotion of pain of seeing my dad doing this all the time. And I remember moving into a building with blessed with a pastor that was living downstairs, and I remember him knocking on our door and inviting my mother and father to go to church. And my dad was very stubborn. He didn't want to go to church. And my mother, liked it, and she said to one after maybe like the 10th visit, finally my mom said maybe this would be a little change for our home. Maybe giving our heart to God would change what's going on around our house, the dysfunction was going around, and all this pain and suffering. So finally, my mother decided to go, and we joined her. But he still didn't want to go. He was very stubborn. He didn't want to go to church. He was like, didn't want to believe in God. To make the story short regarding to that, we continued going. We started going to church, and to this day, I remember going with my parents to church, my mother to church, and I remember going in, and it felt different. It felt, I don't know, I felt this warmness and this comfortability of happiness, because I felt like something was about to happen in our family. And it did, because my mother gave her heart to the Lord, my brothers and sisters. But it took like maybe 2 years for my dad to come and join. When that happened, that was the biggest joy for our family, because things did begin to change. One of the things that I want to share in the story is that we had a brother, the oldest. He was, and to this day, I still don't know how he was born. I don't know who his father was. I always thought it was my dad, but and to this day I really don't know what the story is. But in my heart, he became my brother because he was raised with us. And I remember him joining the church, and he became like he came involved with the youth ministry, and he loved it. I remember my brother being happy, being the leader, and they made me the leader of the kids. And those were always happy. I always remember that, because that was always a happy memory. I took that into my heart. But then down the line, things began to change again. My dad began to slide back, becoming a deacon. Maybe he didn't see things he liked, or I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I guess the enemy got the best of him, and he started sliding back. And before you know it, he wasn't going to church anymore. The pain continued after he did this. It's like the enemy started attacking him even more. He was getting upset because my mother was going to church. She would ask a question, "Why are you going to church?" And "Are you seeing another man?" He would throw all these curveballs to her, and she would tell him, "No, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to church, serving God with the children." And this would make him enraged, and he would just attack her. That finally, at the end, my mother stopped going to church, and this did a lot of damage, because deep in my heart, at the age of 10, I felt God's presence. It gave me such a joy to feel the Holy Spirit come through my body, and to feel something that I never felt in my life. And here goes this man, after God blesses me with his glory, when I get home, just his words that he used to say to us, he would degrade us and say things that before the night was over, the spirit was gone. I remember that like it was yesterday. My brothers and sisters don't like me to share this, but it's something that happened to me, and I'm being honest. If I can be honest and do what God has called me to do, I won't be sitting here. So as the time went on, by the age of 15, I was really sick and tired of living there, of seeing all this distant function, and my dad being mean, and my dad attacking. It was just, I can't even explain the words. It was just hurtful. It was so hurtful that it changed me. I was not a happy young man. I became so depressed that I didn't really tell anyone. I kept it to myself. So what I did next was I was going to school, and the school was offering this program called co-op. What the definition of that program was that 1 week you go to school and 1 week you go to work. And I really enjoyed it, because it gave me a chance to get away from the craziness from my home. And I thank God for that, because by doing that, it gave me a little bit of peace of mind, But I would still think about when I would go to work and knowing that I had to go back home, I would start preparing myself what was going to become when my dad would come home from his job and start attacking us if he wasn't in a good mood. I remember my mother would say, if you behave bad or you do something or you bring a good report card, I'm gonna show it to your father. But the the sad part about this is that my mother, when she saw a report card, she would give us a beating first. Then after she gave us the beating, then she said, "That ain't nothing. Wait till your dad gets home." And I remember I would get so nervous. I would sweat. I would go to bed, lie down, and cut it up like a ball, and stop crying, because I knew what he was capable of doing when he would come home and my mother would give him bad news. But the scary part is, depending on what mood he was in, whether he had a good day at work or not. If he had a good day at work, it would be okay. But if he didn't, that's when the beating would be worse. And one of the things that he would do, that to this day I still remember like it was yesterday, it gives me chill, was I remember when he came home that day after my mother had gave me a beating and she said he was going to give me one. He would take off his leather belt, and what he would do, he would make us smell it, and he would ask me, "What does the belt smell like?" And I would say, "It smells like leather." I don't know whether he did that on purpose or it was just to show his power or just to continue scaring us. But once he did that, he would hit me. It got so bad that finally, at the end, I said, "You know what? I already got a job. I think I'm capable of taking care of myself." That I remember one time, I brought it up to the attention, and when we were sitting at a table, and I said, "When are we ever going to be able to say something when something is bothering us?" And my dad looked at me with my mother sitting, and she said, "You know what? Maybe one day maybe we'll let you guys say what you feel like saying, and we'll listen." That gave me such a joy, because maybe that would have been finally my letting out of what was bothering me. But you know what? It was really just a saying, because I remember one time I said, "I got something to say," and they were watching TV and they looked at me and they said, "What do you want?" I said, I feel like I need to say something. I've been asking that I want to share. Why is it there's so much pain in this house? What is that you raise us up the way you do? And why isn't that you don't show any love?" And I remember they looking at me and just laughing. The whole family they laughed at me, and that hurt me so deeply. That what they did not know is that I had my bags ready in the next room, ready to leave. The sad part is that as I walked out of the room, I went and got my suitcase and I walked back. I said, "You see, I was trying to be nice and trying to explain something, but you guys don't seem to understand that I can't live here anymore. It's time for me to move on. It's time to make something out of myself, which you guys don't seem to see that." And I remember turning around, walking out with my suitcase, and my mother grabbed me. They both ran towards me, and they grabbed me, and my mother said, "Please don't go. You don't even know how to take care of yourself. How are you going to take care of yourself? Where are you going? Where are you going to live?" But she didn't know that I was already seeing a girl, and I was going to go stay with my girlfriend's sister's boyfriend's home. And as I was walking down the steps of the house, I remember my dad telling me to turn around and look at him, and I turned and looked at him from the steps, and he said, "You know what's gonna happen to you?" He said, "You're gonna go out there, you're gonna become an alcoholic, you're gonna become a drug addict, you're gonna be nothing, you're gonna grow to be nothing, because you're gonna be able to take care of yourself." And I remember turning around and saying, "You know what? I'm gonna make you eat those words, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna show you that yes, I am gonna become something, and I am gonna become someone." And as I turned around, I remember turning my body, giving him my back, and tears coming down my face, because you know what? Those words that he said was real. Because here I am, a young man, 15 years old. I really didn't know how to take care of myself. I was never taught. I never learned to become a man. I never learned to be responsible. And as I left, I remember being in this young man's house. And in 6 months, he already felt he was already boring because I was there. He felt uncomfortable. And he told me nicely, "It's time for you to leave." And I was already alone. I felt depressed. I felt like I didn't belong already, so he made me feel even worse. So I said, "You know what? Let me see if I can find a place." And I remember calling my mother's aunt. And I remember her telling me, "Come on, you could come live with me." That was the biggest mistake I did, because how do you know my mother's aunt was going to become an abusive person, even worse than my own mother and father. I moved in, everything was peaceful in the first month, but then after that I became like a slave. I had to do everything around. I had to go shopping, get up early in the morning, carry bags up the stairs. That she lived, I think, on the third or fourth floor, carrying all these bags. And then my cousin was in the room sleeping, and he would not get up, and I had to do everything. And I remember I used to tell her, why is it that I gotta be doing this by myself? How come your son can't help? She said, no, this is your job. You here, and stop being disgraceful. You're living in my house. But I was giving her money. It wasn't like I was living there for free, because I still understood a little bit of respect and living in somebody else's home. And there is where I met the girls of the girl of my mother, of my daughters. I remember seeing her sitting on a table as I was eating my dinner after coming from work. And I looked at her and I asked my cousin, who was that? And he said, oh, that so-and-so is one of my friend's sister. And I felt something. I don't think it was love. It was just like trying to fulfill that emptiness that I had. And we started talking and we started going out. And I remember, it's funny, I remember when we started going out, we would talk. It was strange. And I would tell her how I would feel. I said, I'm going out with you, but I don't really feel anything. It was just maybe to feel my emptiness because I feel alone. And, you're here, you look like a nice person. And maybe we could talk and get along and see what comes out of it. And down the line, I guess it was affection. I remember one time asking her if she wanted to marry me. And she told me straight in my face, I marry you, but I'm going to be honest, I don't really feel anything. I don't feel like I love you, but I guess at the moment it felt right because she wanted to leave her home. I guess because her home wasn't doing well with her parents. So we decided to get married. Everything went beautifully, and the saddest part about the whole thing is that I invited my family and nobody showed up. So life continued going on with pain in my heart, trying to find that love and that connection with my family. But here's where it gets scary. As I got married and I was invited to a family member of hers get together, that's when I was introduced to alcohol. As the party was going along, I remember this woman walking around with a plate in her hand, and she would ask if anybody wanted a drink. And I remember sitting there, and I never drank before, and I looked, and I told her no. The second time she went around again, something in my heart the third time said, you know what, take it. You're not feeling good. Maybe this could give you a little comfortability of what you feel in your heart. Maybe it'll help you to your depression, or help you to what you feel, your loneliness. And I'm gonna tell you, as I'm talking about it, I feel like it was yesterday this happened. As I took that first beer and I drank it, I felt like this relaxation going from the top of my head all the way to my feet, and it felt good. It felt like for the moment it made me forget everything that I was going through. And then I continued drinking, and by the end of the night I got drunk. First time ever I got drunk, and I said when I got home, I was throwing up in the bathroom, and I said to myself, you know what, this is what this is about. I never want to do it again. But from a blink of an eye, from that day on, 10 years later, I would continue doing the same thing over and over. Alcohol took control over my life in a way that I cannot even explain it. It took away everything. I mean, I didn't even know I could even do anything. I couldn't even speak to people. Even what I'm doing now, in order to me to do this or to do anything to confront people, I will have to have alcohol in my body. I will have to drink or get high or do something to order to feel comfortable. I couldn't do it without that. And from all the way from the age of 15 or 16 all the way to the age into adult year, as I was married, something would happen as I was married. Every 2 years I would get bored and I would continue to find something else to refill that emptiness. And one of the things that I said and I asked God is, I still believed in him, but it was like a 911. It wasn't really like believing, it was just like an emergency, because I always knew God would answer and he would answer prayers. So it was like I would only use them for the purpose of the moment. And I remember when my ex-wife told me that she was pregnant with her first child, I felt this gratefulness and this happiness, because in my heart I really felt that was going to give me my comfortability to living better, of fixing that pain, of that loneliness. You know what? It did work for the first 2 years, but after that, again, another 2 years, I became the same person. Then continued drinking more heavily. I mean, I would drink from Monday all the way to Sunday, 7 days a week. I mean, into this day, I don't know how I did it, but I did. Jobs that I will find like drinking buddies. They will cover up for me. I will make it to work. I will make it late. I will call in sick, man. I think 1 year alone, I must have taken like maybe 3 or 4 months off, on and off, and it was just ugly. It was just unbelievable. So then finally, after that, then I had my second child. I don't know. It was good at the moment having my children, but here we go again from the beginning, as I shared you from the beginning of my testimony. I wasn't taught to have affection. I wasn't shown anything about love. I wasn't shown how to kiss or hug anyone because it wasn't given to me. And that's what I want my brothers and sisters to understand. I didn't know nothing about love. I didn't know what it meant. So how can I give that to my girls when they were born? I didn't know. I would pick them up. It was like, I don't know. I didn't know how to handle them. Sadly to say that the only thing I remember about my two child being born and being raised was when Christina, my older one, held her sister when she was born on her lap, sitting in the bed. That's the only picture I remember. All my life, I was always stoned and high. I couldn't. My vision was like blur. My body would change when I drink. My whole body I would get swollen. I would walk into places and have a few drink, and my face would turn like I was in a boxing match. My hand would get swollen 3 times my size. My feet, my shoes, my sneakers would feel like if I had 3 feet in there. I felt the change. I felt the changing of my hand shaking when I would pick up things. I began to get scared, but you know what? I began to get scared, but I continued. Every time I would get stoned, I would fall into the biggest drunkenness or the highness of my life. I remember always going on my knees, raising my hand and asking God to please help me, take me out of this misery right now. And at the moment I would feel something, I would feel it, but then I would laugh and I would say, all right, you see, he could still help me. And then again, I would go at it again. I'm sharing this from the bottom of my heart because I want people to understand that the God we serve, he is real. The same God that I turned my back to was the same God that I called upon his name. And I thank God for his grace and mercy that he responded. In the year of 1996, this is when everything changed. Towards my final days of my life. As I did so much drinking, I did damage to my body. I was hurting. I remember when I didn't want to drink, I would ask my ex that, she would make me pick up some alcohol, and I would beg her, and I don't want to pick it up because I've been clean for a couple of days. And as soon as she begged me to pick it up, I would go and pick it up. And by the time I went in there to get her one bottle, I would walk out with 5 for myself in each pocket. And I would drink hers and drink mine. I thank God that when I placed that order that order of prayer in 1996, it was like a challenge to him. It was like I raised my hand as I was left home alone as my ex-wife had went out with the girls. I fell on my knees screaming from the inside of my heart and lungs, and I screamed it. I think that people from my area heard the prayer, because my prayer was this: if you are the God that you say you are, I want you to show that power. I want you to break this chain of this alcoholism that I cannot let go. I am tired. I don't want to live anymore. Please help me, save me, show me who you are. And did God show me who he was? Yes, he did. I'm that week alone. As soon as I put in that prayer, I dreamed for a whole week that I was dying from a heart attack. I would go to bed and I would wake up and sweat. Like I would feel in the dream that I would fall, I would die, and I would see all my loved ones surrounding me, screaming to please get up. This scared me so much that I said it was time to do something about myself. In all my life, from the age of 10 all the way to the age when I got sober, I always had suicidal thought. I found so many ways to commit suicide. The first one was me jumping in front of the train, the M train where I used to live. And this is not a joke. This is coming. I'm sharing. God is my witness. He could strike me if I'm lying. As I was ready to jump in front of the train, I felt 2 hands toss my chest and push me back. When this happened, I got so scared that I started trembling and started to cry. And it never again for a moment suicide thought came into my life. It never came into my mind or heart. But then as the years went on, suicide came again. For 3 times, I tried to burn myself inside the home that I was being left alone by my parents. I tried to burn the house down, and through God, grace, God loving and watching over His child, He protected me all the time, all my life. I try to find a way how to end my life. Some of my prayer was always, God, please let me die. I don't want to live anymore. And I would cry when I wake up the next day, and God said He wasn't done with me. I would hear Him and I would scream. I said, you don't get it. I cannot deal with this world anymore. He said, no, you are going to deal with it. And I will hear Him and He will protect me. In 96, that was like my final draw of everything, of making my final decision whether I wanted to live or die. Through my job, through my boss, and I thank God for Maria, for Alfredo, for Ira. These are my bosses, that they are my bosses today. Through them, when I went up to them begging them to please help me, that I have an alcohol problem, through them, they helped me through the human resource to admit me to National Recovering Institute located on 50th and 12th Street, where God did the transformation, of the beginning of transformation, which I didn't know what was going to happen until it happened. As I walked through as I was taken to the rehab by this woman named Miss Rice. I remember her like she was yesterday. To me, I say she was an angel, because she stopped her day of what she was doing, a busy day, took me to the rehab, and as I turned around to say thank you to her, she had disappeared. And since that day, I never saw this woman again. And as I was standing there ready to be admitted, I remember a young girl sitting on my right hand side of a chair, and I was scared. I was nervous. I don't know what was gonna happen, but I just wanted all this to end already. I wanted her to get cured. And this girl got up and she said, "Sir, I want you to understand something." And I looked at her. I don't know who she was. She said, "You're gonna be okay. Don't be nervous. You know what? If you don't mind, I want to give you a hug." And do you know, with that hug, that was the day of the transformation of my life. I will never forget that, because when that young lady hugged me, I was never hugged before. I never let nobody even get anything close to me from a distant woman's arm. And when that girl did that, it was like it broke everything. It broke like the glass that I was in. And that is where I learned the definition of affection. And I felt like this girl really gave that love. And I remember as I was admitted, they took me to my room. I remember in the 7th day when they told me your time was up, that if you want to stay longer, you can. And I told them, I begged them, I said, you know what, 7 days is not enough for me. Can you please find out what is it that the insurance cover? Because I wanted to stay to whatever timing it is, but I cannot leave this place because I don't want to fall again. And as they checked, they said, you in luck, you could stay here for 30 days. And I said, sign me up, leave me here for 30 days. In this place is where I learned that I wasn't the only man suffering through all these things. There was millions more out there suffering and hurting. That's the way I was. And I thank God, because in there is where I learned how to feel and to have affection for others. I met people that they have so much love to give. I learned to share, because they will give every single day for the 30 days that I was there. I think in the whole month we must have shared like over 100 times between everybody. They will make you share 3 times a day. They will make you get up in front of the room and let you share what was going on in your life and what was bothering you. And as I did that for the first time, I felt that every time I did it, it was releasing of all the pain and all the suffering that I was going through. And little did I know that when I walked out of the 30 days, I would find the affection of loving my girls. At the time when I had them, I didn't understand why God gave them to me, because I didn't know how to love. And when I came out, I thought my girls was gonna be upset because I was gone for so long. And when I went to pick up my older daughter, when she saw me, she came running out of the school. I wanted to surprise her, and she hugged me, and she said, "Daddy, don't ever leave me again." And this changed my inside completely. I felt what love was all about. Through the grace of love and mercy, today I have the forgiveness. Today I have a relationship with them. So many things has happened from that time to now. May 28th of 1996 was the day that I had my last drink. And through God's grace and mercy, May 28th of 2014, I'll be having 18 years of sobriety. And who did this? It wasn't me. It was all God. He is real, man and woman that will be watching this video. He saved this soul. Not only did he save my soul, he saved my heart. And the beauty of all this, that the man that turned his back to God, but when I left home around 15 years old, after maybe 40, almost 35, 30 something years later, the same God that I gave my back was the same God that accepted me back in 2005. I gave my heart back to the Lord. In those since 2005 put into present, in the last 2 years, things has changed so dramatically in my life. God has shown gifts that I never knew I had. He has given me so much love, so much compassion, not only for myself, but today I know how to love myself. Not only love myself, but today I know how to love everyone else. One of the biggest things that I had to do, even though I started sharing about the pain and the dysfunction of my family, one of the biggest things that I had to do for this to happen, to me to do this, and to all the gifts that God has given me and all the promises, was to forgive my father. And I thank God for Third Day Worship Center. They did a retreat I think it was a year ago, and through this retreat for men, which I from the bottom of my heart tell every man out there to go to a retreat. This is like a cleanser, this is like a transformation of your life completely. On that day, on the second or the third day of that day, when Pastor Reyna spoke a word of prophecy and Pastor Charles over my life, it was like that was the day that I finally said, God, I forgive him. I forgave my father. Even though we don't have a relationship today, but it's okay, it's all good. But in here, in my heart, I forgave my whole family. Once that happened, it's like the gate of promise was open. God has been pouring so many unbelievable blessings over not only on my life, but everybody surrounding me. I've been blessed with unbelievable pastors. I've been blessed with unbelievable brothers and sisters. I've been blessed with spiritual nieces, nephew, cousin, uncle. I mean, even sons and daughters, which that was always one of my prayer, always since the youngest that I can remember. My prayer always was this: God, please bless me with a family that will love me and understand me. Even though I don't get it from the one that is my true blood, but God had replaced it with thousands. I ain't talking about one of thousands of people that show me that respect and love for me. So anyone out there that will be listening or hearing this testimony, I'm going to tell you from the bottom of my heart that God we serve, he's real. All you have to do is submit your whole, I'm talking about 100% to God, from the inside, from the outside. And when you do this, submit yourself to his kingdom, serve, go to a church, become a member. If you don't have a church, help the pastors, help, serve, do whatever it is that you got to do. But show your gratitude and your love for God, because this man right here is the most grateful man alive. I post a lot of things on Facebook, and almost every day, and I know many might say, is this man for real? Is this man really happy? You know what? Yes, I am, because I shouldn't be sitting here sharing you this testimony. I should have been dead in 1996. I was told by a doctor when I was in the rehab that I was in this close to 1 more year if I would continue to drink, that I needed a new liver. And through the grace of God, 18 years later, nothing, and that's all his glory, healed. Nothing in my body. I've seen people that have been clean, and I see them, and you could tell the effect and what the drinking and drugging did. But look, I'm here because of him. Because of what he has done. He is real. All you have to do is trust him and put your trust in him. I'm going to read a scripture which, when I was ready to share, because this is what God has done and has placed in my heart. And if someone really want to understand, this is all about God and his word, that his word is real, because it has done so much to me. This right here, you read it, and it will keep you strong, connected to the Lord every day, and guide you not only for yourself, but guiding you through your family as the man that you are supposed to be for him, and as the warrior. And this is what I want to read before I do my closing of my testimony. In Psalm 40, 1-3, this is what this scripture has inserted into my heart. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mud. He set my feet on on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and fear the Lord and put their trust in Him. And that is what I have done. I thank God that today I am a blessed man. Today, because of what God has shown through my pastors and through my family, today I never thought that I would be a leader from anything, and they have seen it and shown to me and God gave me the respect to become that. I have become an encourager on many pages on Facebook. One of the things that God uses me is to give encouraging and hope words to those that are out there lost. Many out there might have dreams. Their dreams might be like something they never had. But my dream was the day God saved me, that I would be used for His glory and to help other men achieve their dream just like God gave to me. I want other men to wake up and get up and be saved, and be saved and used to help another man to get up, or even a woman, anyone, just to be used to help and to glorify God's name, and to understand that once we submit ourselves to Him, He will transform you, change you, and use you for His glory. There's nothing to do with love. There's all to do with God, and God has saved this soul, and I thank Him from the bottom of my heart. I thank for my beautiful wife that the Lord has blessed me with. She always encouraged me to be the man that I am. My children, I love my Christina, Avelina. Thank you for allowing me to be your dad again, because I was in the beginning, but now I am. I thank Sam, Uni, and Norma for trusting in me, for placing in my hand a show which I never thought that I would do, and never went to school or anything, but God touched their heart to see that yes, I could be used for Him, and to the grace of God I have a show by them that is called He's Real, He's Listening, and we have seen so many people being transformed because of the show. And I thank God that He is using me to host this, and I hope that through this testimony that it touched me, but it also touched many out there that heard it. And before I leave, I want to read this final scripture, which is so powerful, so you could insert it in your heart like I inserted in mine. And it's in Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And that is exactly what God did to me. I only pray to God to break the chain of my alcoholism. Our God is so awesome and so great that He did not just stop there. He broke every other chain that had me trapped in my life. And today I am the man I am because of Him. And I thank from the bottom of my heart, Sam, for allowing me to share the testimony. I thank God for His glory, for blessing me. And in May 28, because of God's grace and love and mercy, 2014, I'll be celebrating my 18 years, and the glory is all His. Thank you. God bless. I love you.